Hi, welcome. Today we are going to look at the core and the soft skills that make up data analyst. So remember, there are core soft skills, there are tech skills, and then there are other skills like, for example, being able to Google search a solution, being able to use even your Stack Overflow or ChatGPT to assist you to be able to accomplish your objective. So today we are going to focus on the core skills, and then also subsequently we are going to look at the tech skills. So some of the core skills we are going to look at today will be things like maths and statistics, which is just to be able to do the basic arithmetic and calculations. Domain knowledge, maybe you come from a healthcare domain or from a technical domain or from maybe finance, just some domain knowledge. Then analytical thinking, which is being able to use some of the analytical techniques, like for example descriptive analysis, diagnostic, those are analytical thinking. And then critical thinking too, being able to think critically through a problem, what is really the root cause, things like that. And then communication, being able to communicate your findings to your stakeholders, maybe using their language or so. And then also problem solving, which is actually being able to frame the problem and solve the problem right to the end. So we'll look at them briefly, but remember, some of these things are learned more while you're learning the tech skills. Because, for example, if you're building a pie chart on in Excel or in Power BI or Python, you learn also how to communicate to your stakeholders, because you chose the pie chart for a specific reason and to pass on a specific idea. So that is also communication skills which you're building. And also, if you are trying to find out maybe the top five sales, or the top five products that are selling, or the five worst products that are performing poorly, you will still be trying to solve a problem, and you'll be using those tools like Power BI, Excel, still to solve that problem, and you'll be learning problem skills and also the tech skills. These will just be like guidelines so that you know what these soft skills are all about, and then maybe some pointers to start practicing. But as we go along, you'll be learning them, and the more experience you get and the more you get into your job, the longer you stay, the more these skills will become second nature to you. So remember, there are some skills like communication and problem solving which cut across many industries. It's almost like in every field. So it's not only peculiar to data analysts and professions, but then let's look at the core and soft skills then. So the first one is basic mathematics and statistics. I like to use the word basic because it should really be basic. So you should not be scared. It's not complicated mathematics here. So mostly your high school mathematics is okay, and you just think of basic things like arithmetic, addition, subtraction, division, multiplication, very basic, and also some basic algebra, just to understand maybe an equation like, okay, if this times this equal to that. So if I want to get the other one, I should divide to get the other one. This divided by that will give me the opposite. So it's just basic things that some of it is second nature to you. And so still under that, you understand some descriptive statistics, how to summarize data, like get the mean, get the mode, get the variance, and also some basic probability, like how to do things like maybe box plot. What are some outliers in this data? Is it positively skewed? Is it negatively skewed? And you can also understand things like regression. Even though regression is like what from regression and other complicated statistical models the data scientists would be focused on, but you understand also how regression works, and then data scientists can take on that further to other higher heights. And then things like calculus, linear algebra, you not necessarily need them, because these are what maybe the data scientists will need more. And so it's just basic. And share the resource in the Discord, the Khan Academy, for example. There are many resources that you can just go to revive your basic statistics knowledge and mathematics knowledge. So let's go to the second one now, domain knowledge. So domain knowledge is all about a specialized understanding of an industry. So maybe through formal education or informal education, or just from your field experience, you understand a certain industry better than maybe the average person. So companies love this, love people with domain knowledge, a specialized knowledge in a specific sector, because there you come and you hit the ground running, or you contribute above average. So remember, you in life, you might not have just one domain knowledge expertise. You can have multiple domain knowledge over the years of training. Maybe you've been doing web development for some time, you're good in that. Then you also do data science for some time, you're also good in that. So you have the domain knowledge maybe in those two fields. And it's all about how do you acquire them. Mostly it's all about doing deep research in a field, trying to go in depth in that industry. And then you can also take relevant courses or certifications for formal education in that domain to understand all that you need around that domain. And then another thing too you can do is interview experts in that field. Just like we had these Twitter spaces the last couple of weeks before we launched the challenge. So those were experts. This is opportunity to join and interview them and get what the real life looks like in that domain. And then you try to learn jargons too in that domain. There are terms in telecom, for example, like churn, deactivation, reactivation, effective tariff. So if you are not in that field, you will not understand that, but talk to people in that field to understand the jargons, and that's how you will be able to understand how to connect the dots. And also another way to get domain knowledge is to become a customer. Just go, a customer is always king. Buy something from that industry. Just go and order something, and then you see the process and they will explain to you everything. So being a customer, you'll be able to consume the products and learn what the problem they solve and how it works. And then what you need to do now is you can now come back, create a roadmap or a flow chart of the ecosystem of all you've learned. Try to come up with a synthesis of what you've learned. Okay, these are the moving parts. They get this from here, they ship it here, or they buy it here, they combine it here. So you come up with your own flow chart, your own ecosystem that you can even hand draw it. And then at the end now, a good thing too is to document and explain it to others. So when you take the time to explain something to others, you understand it better. And if you do all of this, you're able to get the domain knowledge in the field that you are interested in. So let's go on to the next one, which is analytical thinking. So analytical thinking is actually the ability to research, you collect and process raw information so that you can have more interesting facts about it. So you are being able to interpret data so that you can gain more knowledge about a specific subject. So employers like to know that you can maybe think on your feet. You can be able to just come up with solutions and solve problems on your feet. So you gather information from different sources, and then you try to make rational decisions. So you see that to get this kind of skill, you need to read a lot so that you have an open mind. So each problem is different. And also, if you're working on your math skills, it will also help you sharpen up your logic thinking. So this would also help with the analytics thinking. And then you try to learn something new each day. Try to pick up a new thing to expand your mind. The key is about being open-minded so that you can pick solutions from everywhere. And then you ask lots of questions so that with those questions, you'll be able to see the gap in your knowledge and try to improve on them. So that's for analytical thinking. So let's look at critical thinking now. So critical thinking is actually when you deliberately and systematically process information for better decision making, or for your better understanding, for your own understanding. So the opposite of critical thinking in reality is actually everyday thinking. So in real life, like breathing, we don't think while we are breathing. So you can spend your life on what we call like autopilot, that it is like the everyday thinking. But if you want to critically think through what you're thinking, so you ask basic questions, try to understand what could be the solution first before even going to solve the problem, like the concept of beginning with the end in mind. So what do I really want to solve, and am I even getting closer to it, or maybe just missing the point? So you try to challenge the status quo. What are the assumptions and the beliefs that we have so far? Are they wrong? Are they right? So you're trying to go to some kind of challenging, not just, as I say, on everyday thinking, but trying to stop a bit and see what are some things that I could challenge, or what are some proposals I could make. So it's really about trying to be aware of kind of the mental bias you have, or the mental bias that the people you're working with or talking with might have. You're conscious, and then you, before you try to find work around this, and then you really try to, for example, validate the existence of evidence. There might be some things that are said, but there's no evidence. It might just be a belief still, or it might be an assumption. So you're trying to validate what is the evidence, and then so that you're able to think for yourself. So you try to think for yourself, like, okay, I think independently. This is what I think. This is my opinion. Leaving aside all the beliefs, all the concepts, all the assumptions. This is what I think. So in reality, this is a skill which is a lifelong journey. It's something that you can't just say you pick it up, like you pick up something and eat, but it's more of like something you're going to learn as you grow old, and you will not do it 100% all the time. You can't spend your whole life on critical thinking. Like breathing is an everyday kind of thinking. So you would not think critically in every situation, but it's just to be aware that there are times when you need to stop, challenge the beliefs, and challenge the assumptions, and think independently. So let's move on now to communication. So communication is interesting. It's something that cuts across many industries. So if you see, most great leaders possess this trait, because in most of the fields, the higher you go, the more your communication skills are even more important than the tech skills or the hard skills that got you the job in the first place. So you need to listen a lot and have that undivided attention, especially when you're listening, so that you're able to listen, not listen to respond. And you need to choose your words according to your audience. If you are talking to 5-year-olds, there are some terminologies that you will not use, like when you're talking to maybe adults or people in a tech field. So if you're having meetings with technical teams, your communication will be different from the meetings you have with the business leaders. And also you need to realize that most of the communication is body language. So you should be able to read and transmit body language that is appropriate. So also when you're doing like your written communication, always double check your work. Make sure you think, look at the message maybe twice before you share it, and also try to be brief and yet specific in things you do, because you at times people don't have time, so you might need to be synthesize your information and try to be brief and concise. And then also another thing is to take down notes while you're meeting, so that remember, you can't trust the brain, so you need to be able to take down some things so that it can be like pointers or reminders, which will help you to send maybe a follow-up email later, and be able to like get people to be on the same page and some alignment. So also another thing is to think before you speak, so that you know what you say at times is not the same as how you say it. So how you say it is usually the most important compared to what you say. So you need to be able to think and choose what you say. How you say it is more important with what you want to say. So treating everyone with respect is also something which helps improve your communication. And then just being positive and a smile, it will mirror back to you. So generally communication, these are things that you would use in every industry. And then another thing now is problem solving. So problem solving again is one of those skills that are all over the place. We are here to solve problems. So it's the ability to understand the root causes and try to fix them. So you identify, you understand the real problem, and then you try to get a solution that is as close to the real problem. So you might have a headache, but it's a symptom of another disease in you. So you try to go to the root cause and solve the root problem, and the headache would disappear. So you research the systems and practices behind problems. So you have to don't think you know everything. So you try to do some research and systems and practices behind why people behave in a certain way, or why certain incidents is as it is, or why we are where we are today, so that you try to come up with missing pieces and put them together. And then another thing too is, if you can visualize the problem for more clarity, try to draw it, design it. So you try to bring it down with visualization, and then brainstorm possible solutions. Also is something that nobody has a monopoly of ideas, so you try to brainstorm along with the team. So you use your critical thinking, which you've also we've spoken about that earlier here. Use your critical thinking, because there might be no right or wrong answer, and at times it's just a change of perspective that you're arguing or you're trying to solve. So you choose the best idea and then present it, and you get feedback after the brainstorm. This is the best idea based on all the criteria, and then this is the feedback from people who are using it, and then you build, measure, learn. So it's just that you also have to implement the idea, because it does not just end with an idea. Everybody always has $1 million idea, but then you're trying to create an action plan to be able to deliverables, to be able to attain that, and then you follow up and make adjustments if necessary. So you have the idea, you create a clear action plan behind the idea, and these are the deliverables, these are the timelines. You tick the boxes and make sure you follow up, and then you measure the performance so that you're able to optimize it to improve on maybe what you've learned, and then you improve on it. And it's a cycle. So actually, it's a valuable lifelong skill, which you would just keep learning. So again, we would learn some of these skills as we go along with the tech skills, which will start in subsequent video. With your communication and your domain knowledge, it's going to help you to be able to switch maybe to other fields. Even coming to the data analyst field, if you have been working for some time, you already have some of these communication skills, some of this domain knowledge from your healthcare domain, or from the marketing domain, or from a human resource domain. And maybe you're already a problem solver, you know how to solve problems, you think critically, you remember your basic high school mathematics, so you can still carry this on. And when you pick on the tech skills, you will just hit the ground running, because these things are transferable. So these skills will help you become a great analyst as you keep working and improving on them. So review this. These are just pointers, and some of them take years to build. Be consciously or be deliberate in your actions. This is what I deliberately want to do. This is the most important thing with these skills. I deliberately want to be critical in my thinking today. Try to share them as you learn in public. That's why we are encouraging you to join the Discord, share your work. As you learn, you share, and it sticks. Continue to grow them. And so hope you understand the core and the soft skills which distinguishes these analytics professionals, and you've also seen how to learn them. And we are going to teach you some of them as we learn along. So think you be ready to start with the technical skills in the subsequent video. So see you next video when we start looking at Excel, like the first technical skill, and wish you good data log.